How you doing, YouTube? We're going to cover India now. We're going to get right into it. Some big news happening in India. We have floods and also this crazy story. I'm sure there's more than this happening, but this is the stories that I found today. A trash heap 62 meters high shows the scale of India's climate challenge. I remember something like this happening in Italy a long time ago. I remember garbage being piled up as high as buildings in Italy for a time there. I don't know if that problem was ever fixed.
72-year-old shopkeeper Narayan Chaudhary suffers from chronic asthma.
Oh my God.
He says he almost died in April this year after the landfill behind his house, which is the size of a village, caught fire.
It was a massive blaze. It was difficult to survive. My face and nose started swelling. I was gasping for breath. I could barely drink or eat.
Chaudhary says
in his own
had it not
home.
been for his friend who rushed him to hospital, he wouldn't be here today. It was a dangerous combination of methane, unsegregated garbage, and record-high temperatures earlier this year that
My
sparked
God, look
massive
at that.
fires.
I mean,
Not
look
only
at that. Look at that. You
wouldn't be
guys,
here today.
hold on.
It
You see that? You see the gases leaking? That's, you know, when you pile enough stuff, this happens in farms all the time. If you pile enough straw on top of itself, the pressure from the weight causes heat to build up in the center of the mass, right? And then all of a sudden, right, it like no spark, no one's in there lighting a cigarette, just out of the blue, all this straw lights up, just lights on fire, because eventually all that built up heat from all that pressure ignites the material, and then it actually lights up. And look at this. This thing is just smoldering and burning because how big the pile is. This is unbelievable.
was a dangerous combination of methane, unsegregated garbage,
My
and
God.
record-high temperatures earlier this year that sparked massive fires, not only at
And
the
we
Malatra
showed this.
landfill,
That's right. I remember this footage. That's right. Just apocalyptic.
but also here at one of Asia's biggest dump sites.
Wow.
Government data from 2019 says this Ghazipur landfill is almost 15 stories tall and the size of 70 soccer fields.
Jesus
Methane is the
Christ.
second most prevalent greenhouse gas, and one company, GHG Sat, found on a single day in March as trash decomposed. More than 2 metric tons of methane gas leaked every hour from the Ghazipur landfill.
Wow.
When we take all
So
the-
this is a problem unique to garbage landfills. This is just a massive release of methane gas, which is, of course, incredibly flammable. God, I'm surprised this hasn't gone up sooner.
Measurements that we took over a period of about a year, we found that the total emissions were equivalent to emissions from approximately 350,000 U.S. passenger vehicles per year.
Whoa. Whoa.
And methane emissions aren't the only hazard. Dangerous toxins from landfills seep into the ground, polluting
My
the water
God, people
supply for
live
thousands
there.
of residents living nearby.
My God, people are living right next to this.
Aren't the only hazard. Dangerous toxins from landfills seep into the ground,
My
polluting the water
God.
supply for thousands of residents living nearby. That's the color of the water, a pale, dirty yellow, and we're barely 100 meters away from the foothill of the landfill. In May, CNN commissioned 2 accredited labs to test the groundwater around the Bhalaswa landfill. The result? The groundwater within at least a 500-meter radius around the waste site is contaminated. According to the labs, it's unfit for drinking. In the first lab report, the total dissolved solids from all 3 samples were off the charts. Amid other parameters, levels of ammonia and sulfate were significantly higher than acceptable limits mandated by the Indian government. Results from the second lab report were equally worrying. Also, iron traces in the first sample for both lab reports were at least 8 times more than the permissible limit. Those findings are similar to the government's own study of water samples taken from the land.
Folks, this is a failure of leadership. This is corruption in action. This is what it looks like when your government cares more about putting money in its own pockets than helping people. This is disgusting. And there's an entity to blame. That is the governments, the local and national, whatever the system is that's in charge of this. This is an epic failure. This is just a complete disregard for your own people. Do you give a shit? I mean, it's one thing in America to build like ghettos and slums right next to wastewater treatment facility plants and recycling centers, right? This is a disregard for civic well-being on a whole nother level. This is disgusting.
In March last year. And while authorities bring in a supply of clean water, residents say there's simply not enough for this densely populated neighborhood.
It's gone in 1 day, 2 days if you're lucky. A Band-Aid solution. It's not even a solution. It's barely a Band-Aid. It's throwing a Band-Aid to a dying man bleeding out on the battlefield and throwing him a fucking, a little Band-Aid. Oh, here we go, fixed problem. Pathetic.
And that they must buy and consume purified water. Many use the contaminated water for daily life.
Of course they do.
The water in our taps is red in color. We use this water for bathing, for washing our clothes. What choice do we have?
We spotted long queues outside government clinics. People complained of respiratory, skin and gastric issues.
My skin allergy started from the neck and then spread to other parts of the body. Medical treatment hasn't helped much. I now bathe in filtered water. That's helped reduce the itch.
A leading oncologist CNN spoke to has expressed concern over the long-term health impacts this contaminated water could have on residents.
I am concerned and I would...
And hey, living in the U.S., don't think you're, any better. Remember, we're still dealing with Flint. The people in charge of Flint, of poisoning tens of thousands of people, were just recently found innocent. So, don't think it can't happen in the U.S. and don't think it can't get any worse. I mean, look how bad it can get. Look at the severe disregard, right? You don't think the Republicans are perfectly happy to let you live in a fucking garbage heap? You think they care about you? And I say that to the neoliberals as well. They don't fucking care about you. It's a big club and you ain't in it, as a wise man once said.
Request the governments and the people to collect information at large of the health in this population, compare it to the others in the city, so that in 15-20 years time we are not looking back and regretting that we have a higher cancer incidence, higher health hazards.
They don't regret anything.
Issues, and we didn't look back and correct them in time.
Yeah, we'll look back. Assholes like Mr. Clean Shirt over here, Modi. He won't regret shit. How do you regret anything in your living in your mansion, living it up, driving your luxury cars and eating luxury food every single day? When do you have time to care?
As part of his Clean India initiative, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said efforts are being made to remove these mountains of garbage and convert them into green zones.
Oh, I
that goal,
believe
if achieved, could stem the suffering of those residents living in the shadows of these dump sites and go a long way to curb the massive amounts of methane being released into the atmosphere. With more than 3,100 landfills, the task is monumental and so far unrealized. And if decisive action isn't taken soon, the consequences on the global climate fight could be catastrophic. And the toll on human life, unimaginable. Vedika Sood, CNN, New Delhi.
Wow, that's disgusting. All right, moving on to the next Indian story here. Just a quick one before we move on to our U.S. section. Cyclone Mandios batters India's south, leaves trail of destruction. So it's just one problem after another over there in India. And I do believe there's some political upheaval happening as well, on top of all this other shit happening. Should have probably had one of those stories queued up. We'll get you next time, India. Wow, look at that little tuk-tuk.
Strength is weakening, and further till morning it will be deep depression, and further it will weaken into depression today evening by that time. Now it is moving northwest direction, and so under the influence of that northwest districts, that area will still there will be wind up to morning 55 to 65 kmph, which will further decrease by evening by 40 to 50. 30 to 40 kmph. Then under the influence of the system, now rainfall is still going on.
Oh, don't do it. Don't go under the water. Wait. The B-roll guy was going to go under the water. Why didn't you show that? Oh, that sucks. He submerged his whole camera for you, and you're not going to show the footage? Oh, Global News, who's your editor? Fuck you. Look at that. He's putting the camera in the water for us. And he cuts. Lame, dude. Who edited this? A lot of the time, it's the cameraman who edits it. So maybe the footage wasn't very good. Maybe he tried and it didn't look good. Ouch. This guy's got a big ass spike on his car. That's awesome. That's so Texan. That's, for some reason, that just makes me think of Texas right there. That's like, it's, you know, the living big ethos is just, it's a global thing. Yeah, some people just need to live large and have just a huge deadly fuck you spike on their car. Is that like a police car? So authoritative, man. Like, we don't like what you're doing. We'll put you on the spike, boy. All right, so there you go, YouTube. Please like and subscribe. Check out the Twitch in the description. We'd love to see you over here on the stream. Thank you so much.